Welcome to the 5 for 2 podcast with me, your host Adele, where we say no to careers where you're trading 5 days of misery for 2 days of fun. A place we discuss all things career, confidence, and money moves. I want to motivate, teach, and empower ambitious women to achieve more, earn more, feel more confident, and enjoy the work they do. It's all about believing you can have everything you want in your career and then going and getting it. So if you're ready, let's get into it. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. This week I'm talking about final stage interviews and questions that you can be asking throughout the process to help you get more offers. And the reason this week's episode is based on this is simply because I have so many people who have said to me, Adele, I keep getting through to final interview, but I'm not getting the offers. Especially this year, I've really noticed it more than any other year before. Or people saying to me, I'm getting to second stage, but I can't seem to get past the second stage. What am I doing wrong? So that's how this episode was born. And I'm really excited to get into it. So let's just go. No long talking. Let's go. Why are you not getting the offers? Why are you interviewing so well? You're getting past first stage, getting past second stage, and then third stage, or sometimes fourth stage. Why are we going on 4 interviews, guys? But that's a whole nother rant. You're hearing, we really liked you, but we went with someone else. Now, there can be multiple reasons that have nothing to do with you why you don't get a job, but there also are reasons that can hold you back in that last interview. First and foremost, that last interview is to confirm what they already believe, which is you are the right fit for the role. You don't get that far if they do not feel like you are going to be a good fit or you're the right fit, but they now need to double check. Does your personality fit? And sometimes it is just that. Sometimes you will end up not getting an offer because they feel like your personality will not gel well with the rest of the team. Or you're too like the people they already have. Like if you're really alike to the people they have and they want something different, because they might be like, no, listen, we've got this specific skill set, we've got this specific personality, we need something more diverse, we need a different personality to balance the team out. That might be a reason you don't get it. So personality is key. In this last interview, I want you to show how your personality and your characteristics make you stand out. It is not this interview, the last interview, is not as generic as the other interviews. It is more about how is your personality? Are you going to be easy to be managed? Are you going to be a good leader if it's a leadership role? Like what in your personality is going to be right for them and deliver the results they want? Now, you still need to be focused on results because no matter what stage of interview it's at, what can you bring to the table? They always want to know that. But also, how does your personality bring that to the table? For instance, if you're going in at leadership, something key that they're going to want to see is, are you going to be able to lead a well-established team? So this team is already established. You've come from nowhere, from outside. You didn't come up like sometimes people get promoted and you were internal. You weren't from another department. You literally have come from nowhere. You don't know any of how they do their processes or their procedures. Yep, you might be able to lead. You might know the job, but you don't know how they do it in that company. How are you going to battle that challenge? Something you want to be speaking about if you're at leadership level is definitely talking about how you've been able to come into a team as a new person and still create results within that team. If you've been a leader before and you've had to go in at leadership level and it was hard, talk about listen, when I first went in, I expect that some of the team are going to find it weird because I haven't come from the company and there's going to be processes I don't understand, but I am really good at insert the answer. What are you really good at and why are you going to make everyone feel comfortable with you coming from an outside company straight into a leadership role? How are you going to combat those things? Talk about it in advance. Don't wait for them to ask you. Think about the challenges that might happen from you being offered that role. And what's going to get you here and what's going to make it easier is if you've asked the right questions in interview 1 and 2, or just interview 1 if they're a great company like most and only do 2 interviews. I love a 2 interview company. I love a 1 interview company, but you know what I mean? If they do 2 interviews, two is the peace sign. We love it out here. So yeah, 2 interviews, we're good to go. What questions are you asking? And when I say what questions are you asking, I'm not talking about Oh, what's the salary? What's the working pattern? What's the team culture? Although actually I do like the team culture question, but a lot of you are not asking it for the right reasons. You're asking it because it's a generic question. You went on Google or YouTube and someone told you to ask it. However, I want you to ask questions that help you answer questions in your interview better, help you position yourself as the person they need. How? Because you're asking questions that basically give you the answers to what they want to hear from you. Example, asking something as simple as what type of environment is this? If they say to you it's quite fast paced, it's really high pressured, there's a lot going on at once, but we are really team orientated, they've just given you insight. In that final interview, remember I spoke about personality? I want you to be showcasing how many times have you worked in a fast paced environment? How do you thrive under pressure? You need to show that you can work in the environment that they've just told you that their company has. They told you their company is fast paced. How are you going to deal with that? Also, this question helps you because if you don't like fast paced, why are you continuing to interview? Because that's not going to be for you. You're going to take a job that just because you like the sound of it, if you do not like that type of environment, why would you put yourself in there just to fall flat on your face because it's not for you? You don't thrive in that. But if you know you thrive in fast pace, if you know you've been in places where maybe you started a job where they didn't have time to train you, talk about it because that means you just had to hit the ground running. You had to figure it out. How did you figure it out? Explain that you're that type of person. That's what they're going to want to hear, that they want to know about how you've worked under pressure because you just got the answer. What other questions? You can ask something like, how would you describe the type of person who thrives in this role or who thrives here at this company? When they tell you, what are you going to do? You're going to let them know why you're that person. Sometimes asking the right questions, all it does is give you the information you need to sell yourself more. And then what you want to do is when they give you the answer, start thinking about times and scenarios where you've been that person so that you can then answer the question better. I'm going to tell you a list of questions that I think are really good questions, and I'm going to tell you why. So what are the biggest opportunities for growth in this role? How do you measure success for the team and for this role specifically? What are the team's current challenges? What does success look like in this role in the first 6 months? Are there any gaps in process this role could help strengthen? How does this role contribute to the company's overall strategic goals? Listen, if you go back, rewind, listen to all those questions. And I'm going to tell you why they're good questions. Don't just ask them to ask, because this is the thing. I'm not telling you to just ask these questions because they make you look good. Absolutely not. I'm telling you to ask these questions so that they help you with your answers in that final stage interview. Imagine asking someone, are there any gaps in process this role could help strengthen? And they say, well, yes, we'd really want someone who comes in this role to help with our computer processes because that's where we're really struggling. Sis, if you're going for a computer role and you know you're really good at processes, or you've worked somewhere where you've had to update the processes, change the processes, improve the processes, teach the team how to use the processes more effectively so that the company can make more money, I need you to talk about all those things in that last interview. They've just told you it's what they're looking for. They told you the problem, you're the solution. You just got to tell them stories of past times when it's happened, how your skill set is exactly that. Like, think about the questions that I just said. Like, how do you measure success for the team and the role specifically? They're going to give you twofold answer. They're going to tell you how the overall team can be successful and how the person in the role can be successful. Guess what? You, in your last interview, can now talk about whatever they told you that person needs to be successful. You show off that you can do those things, but then also whatever they told you the team needs to be successful, you let them know how you're going to be able to impact the team as well. What does success look like in this role in the first 6 months? They're going to tell you exactly. Firstly, this question helps you in two different ways. It helps you with like knowing what they're looking for so that you can answer it. But then also when you get the job, you know what they're looking for in the first 6 months. Do it in 3 and then ask for more money. It's another conversation, but I spoke about negotiation not that many episodes ago. Do it in 3. If they told you what they want in the first 6 months, do it in 3 or 4. Be impressive. Stand out, because if you can look great in your first 90 days, in your first year, you're passing your probation with your eyes closed because you've already delivered everything they wanted in 6 months in 3. That's first and foremost. Secondly, you've put yourself in a great position to be able to negotiate a salary raise because you told me you needed something 6 months. I did it in 3. If you give me something else to achieve in the next year, I'll do it in half the time. I think you should pay me more. Listen, set yourself up for success. Asking the right questions helps you. Asking how much the salary is doesn't really help you. And don't get it twisted. You should ask the salary because you need to know how much you're getting paid. Otherwise, why do you want the job? However, that is not setting you up to get the offer. A lot of people ask what's the salary in the very first interview, but they don't ask anything else. They're just like, oh, what's the salary and what time will I work from? And then when they get to the next stage, they're unsure why they didn't get through to the last stage. You didn't ask any questions. You don't even know what they're looking for. They give you an opportunity to ask them anything you want. Use it as a way of getting inside information. What is the specific type of person they're looking for? But you need to ask it in a way that's very stealth. You can't just be like, oh, tell me the exact sort of person you're looking for. No. You're asking them, can you describe to me what type of person would thrive in this type of role, in this role here, or working in this company? Oh, they might be like, oh yeah, well, this role would definitely need someone who's a good problem solver, strategic thinking, good communication. Okay, right, you've just got 3 things right there. I need at your next interview you to show off those 3 skills because they just told you exactly what the person needs. Yeah, they didn't tell you to come in on the last interview and talk about all the degrees and things you've got. They said the person who would thrive in this role has X, Y, Z. I need you to show why you are X, Y, Z. First interviews are to talk about qualifications, experience, degrees, all them fun stuff. Last interviews are not. A lot of you are not passing that last interview because you're not showing enough of your personality. We're so conditioned in interviews to, go in, answer the question. We forget that we can ask questions, get the information we need, and then spit it back out at them while infusing our personality. Because I don't want you to forget to still be you. Like the way I'm good at communication might not be the same way someone else is. The reason I'm good at sales might not be the same reason someone else is. Like I can tell you off the bat, I'm good at sales because I'm honest. If you come to me and you say, I'm looking for like one of my clients comes to me and says, we're recruiting and we need like a senior manager and we're only paying like 50K. I'm going to tell you that's not enough money. I can't help you. Go to another agency. I'm sorry. And they'll be like, what, Adele? Other agencies will take any job. I'm not taking any job. I'm not working any job, any nonsense job. I'm going to push back and tell you why. If you still say to me, listen, my budget is really tight. What do you suggest? I'll be like, right, we need to look at people who haven't got senior experience then. We need to look at people that are just maybe assistant managers or managers who want to move up because you're not paying enough for what you're asking for. I'm an honest recruiter. I'm selling because they're like, wow, listen, this girl must be good at what she does because she's not even trying to lie to us to get our business. She's telling us go somewhere else. I don't lie. I'm honest. And don't get me wrong, there's over honest. Like you can tell too much truth, but honesty, because listen, if I lie, I've got to remember the lie. I don't have time. Also, if you listen, for me, and this is a me thing, this is not for everyone, this is what I know I am. I would rather undersell and over deliver. Yeah, so I'd rather, even with my coaching, I'd rather undersell my services. I'm like, yeah, I can change your CV, I can help with your interviews, and actually over deliver. You're now more confident. You've tripled your salary. You've done all these extra things because I undersold and over delivered, and that's how I am at work as well. I'm gonna tell, listen, I don't think I'm good enough to be able to find you a senior person at 50K. Like, no. Because it's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. You want to up that budget by at least another 40K and then we can talk about it. And if not, we need to rethink the role. I can even help you rewrite the job description. But in this market, absolutely not. And to be fair, in this 2024 market, you might find someone because people are that desperate. However, I'm not doing it. Not for me. So I'm honest. In my day job where they have benchmarking and things like that, if I think it's not right and it's not competitive, I'm going to speak about it. If I think there's an issue in our compliance, I'm going to speak about it and be like, listen, just because it might upset someone because they might be like, oh, well, I made up that compliance process and I think it's amazing. There's a way of me talking about it. I'm not just going to be like, this is rubbish. I'm going to say, listen, I think a better option might be this. And I'm going to tell them why. And I'm going to show them why. I'm going to have evidence and research and all these things. But I am understanding who I am character-wise, personality-wise, what I bring to the table. Am I the friendly one? Am I the serious one? Am I the harsh? Like, who are you? That's the personality they want to see, along with the answers to some of these questions. So if you're currently getting interviews over and over again, but you just can't seem to get offers, I want you to start from first interview, start asking these questions and use that information for the next interview. But you can also use it in the interview you're in, FYI. So if there's any of you right now that have got interviews coming up and you know it's last stage, or you've had other interviews, you can use it in the same interview. Like if I ask someone, oh, so what's the current challenge on your team? And they give me the answer, guess what? In that same interview, I'm going to be like, really? Oh, in my last job, we had something really similar where blah, 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 blah. And this is what I did to fix that problem. There, I've just answered it. I've just told you that I'm good at that. Now you're a little bit impressed and you're like, oh, really? So you were able to do the thing that they just told me was a problem? Yeah, because I'm the solution. A job vacancy is literally a problem a company has. They have a problem. Something's missing. They need someone to fill that gap. You are the solution to their problem. So be the solution. But the only way to be the solution is if you have the information. The first part of the puzzle is the job description. That tells you exactly what the problem is in the most summarized way. The interview is where you can get more specific and more detailed about what the actual problems are and how you can see how you can fill those gaps. So those questions I gave you are some great examples, but depending on what you're looking for in a job will depend on what questions you ask. Every single person will not ask the same questions at interviews, but you definitely should be asking questions that probe and get you the information you need to be able to turn that interview into an offer. Okay? So whether it's first, second, or third, ask questions like finding out what the issues are with their processes, what challenges they have, what gaps they need to fill, what success looks like in that role, and then tell them exactly why you are that thing. And last but not least, I want you to remember this. Even if you go for an interview and you do immaculately, you hit every nail on the head, you ask all these questions, you may still not get an offer. Now, I'm going to say it's very rare. Listen, when I work with my clients, we don't play. The offers roll in. So I know this works. It's tried and tested for me, my clients, my friends, my family. Like we do this. However, there are always reasons beyond your control why you might not get the job. And it's not just like, oh, your personality didn't fit. No, the budget runs out. I have literally had to interview for a job before. And then when I was ready to make the offer, they said to me, no, the budget's that we thought we had budget. We don't have budget for this role no more. I then have to go back to the person and just be like, oh, unfortunately, we've decided to go in another direction. There was no other direction. The other direction was there was no money at the company. I can't call someone up and say, we ran out of money. We're really sorry. Absolutely not. So budget ran out. Changing role specifications. Sometimes, like I said to you, someone says they're looking for a senior VP or senior manager for 50K. And then after I push back and it gets realistic, then someone's like, oh, actually, no, it's more of like an assistant manager or like a supervisor. That's actually what we're looking for. I've just interviewed senior VPs. They are not going to take the supervisor role because now their decision-making power is lower. So they might say to me, no, we want you to go back out to market and everyone you've interviewed at senior level is going to be a no because even if you offer them supervisor, they're probably not going to stay. So then my company's told me I'm not allowed to hire any of these people that I've interviewed. So now I've got to go back to all the candidates and say, unfortunately, we went a different direction. Again, there was another direction. The role changed. What we need in that role changed. Location. Sometimes we interview for London. Next thing you know, the office up in Bradford is where, like, that's now where we need the resource. So actually, I've just interviewed everyone who's based in London, but now we need someone to work in Bradford. So I now need to re-interview again, and you didn't get the job because of location. Again, companies are not telling you this because then they have to get into the whole conversation. And some companies will tell you when it's location. That's happened to me before. I had a job that was supposed to be in London, but then it moved to Leeds, or was it Leicester? One of them. I can't remember, but it moved to one of those. It was L. This was many years ago, guys. It moved to one of those places and they said to me, like, would you be willing to relocate? Blah, blah, blah. Absolutely not. No. So they was like, cool, but we just wanted to see. Nowadays, they're probably not even going to ask you, do you want to relocate? Some companies will, because recently one of my listeners, I hope she's listening now, she reached out to me and she said by using a lot of the techniques and tips that I share, she's been able to secure herself not only 80K pay rise or salary rise, but also a relocation package, and they're paying for her to relocate. So let's give her a little round of applause. Anyway, other reasons why you might not get the role. Internal candidate, one of the biggest reasons. Listen, a lot of companies go out to market just to test the market. They already knew that like Karen was getting a job or Susan was getting a job or Leanne was getting a job. Like we already knew. Adele was already getting the job. They already knew they was giving me the job, but they went out to market to check. What they're doing is sense checking whether the internal candidate is as good as they think it is, because maybe they haven't got anybody else to measure them against. So then they'll be like, okay, we've got 2 internal people that do this role, but actually, could there be better out in the market? And if there is, does that mean we can pay the internal candidates less because actually there's better quality out in the market? Or is the quality out in the market so much better than these internal candidates that we need to rethink the internal candidate? Which hardly ever happens, if I'm honest with you. The internal candidate usually gets the job 90% of the time. There is that 10% where the internal candidate doesn't get the job. Absolutely. And I know that because I've been offered a job before where an internal candidate had gone for it and I got it as an external candidate. And then I found out like 6 months later. And then I realized that's why that person really didn't like me, because I took the job that they had interviewed for. And I didn't know, but they made out like it was my fault. But anyway, so 10% of the time it can happen, but 90% of the time, internal candidate got the role already. Yeah. So these are just some of the things, like I said. So budget change, specifications of the role change, location change, internal candidate got the job. They were just testing the market. They were never going to offer it to an external candidate. So again, you can put your all into an interview, and if they was already planning to get the internal candidate, it's just not you. But if it's happening to you repeatedly, like you've gone for 5 interviews and all 5 of them you got to the last stage, in that last stage, you are not showing enough of your personality that fits with their team. And potentially you haven't asked the right questions to understand what the environment is so you can explain how you would thrive in that type of environment. This episode was kind of short and sweet, and I hope that it's helped someone. Leave me comments. Speak to me over on Instagram or on LinkedIn at Coach Adele T on Instagram, Adele Thompson on LinkedIn. Reach out if you've got any questions about this episode. But yeah, I will see you in the next episode, or speak to you in the next episode. Also, how are we almost at the end of the year? Anyway, speak to you guys soon. I hope this episode gave you exactly what you needed and motivated you to confidently take steps towards your next career move. If you enjoyed it, screenshot and share it on your socials. Tag me on Instagram and come join my community of amazing women working on leveling up their confidence and career. Thanks for listening and see you next time.